Okay, so we planned this strategically that we were going to be speaking right after the coffee break. So I hope everyone is awake and ready to talk about this topic. I am Jaimie Hart, Vice President of Marketing Strategy at Digital Edge. We are a marketing agency really focused on the B2B space for destinations. So helping DMOs target meeting planners, sports events planners, and travel trade.
And I am Hilary Feutz. I'm Director of Sales Marketing for the Los Angeles Tourism and Convention Board. And my role is really focused on promoting Los Angeles as a destination to meeting and event planners.
So, as Sharitha said, we are going to talk about leisure and meetings marketing. They are not the same. And 15 key points here on how to really think about your meetings marketing strategies while developing a bucket list meetings destination. We're going to jump in. It's going to be less of a case study section, but more of just kind of a back and forth on some of the things to be thinking about as you're developing these strategies. And it's going to be quick, just 15 minutes. So I'll jump in with the first one, target audience. So this is pretty basic off the top, but of course our audiences are different. So with leisure, we're looking at individuals, families. We're looking at travelers who want a personal experience for many different reasons. They're looking for adventure. They're looking for that destination culture. But in B2B, you're really looking at planners who are looking for a lot about, what assets does the destination have that will support their meeting. They're trying to pick places, and they're thinking about their boards, their stakeholders, their bosses, and their attendees. They're also very different. Every meeting planner may have a different title and work for different types of corporations, and so that complexity adds a layer when you're talking about target audience for B2B.
And then when it comes to the sales cycle, meetings and events are definitely a long game. So we're talking months and years in advance with layers of decision makings and site visits and contracts, and some citywide conventions book even a decade out. So comparing that to leisure travel, which can thrive on spontaneity, the decision-making process is faster, it's more emotional, and involves fewer stakeholders.
Yeah, and so when we take both of those, then we're looking at audience needs. So taking into account all of those factors. Leisure audiences, they're seeking entertainment, they're seeking adventure. They want to know they're going to have a great experience. They want to know that their dollars are being spent in a place where they can really take home those memories. But meeting planners are really thinking about ROI. They need to understand infrastructure and convention center spaces, hotel rooms and venues, and really all of the pieces that go into planning. They're also trying to understand the financial piece, the incentives that are available, and the ROI on their meetings in your destination. They're also beholden, as I said, to stakeholders and bosses and attendees, and so they're looking to answer a lot of those questions. So our content and our marketing strategies really have to have that education piece and teach them a little bit more in depth about some of those less emotive, more practical items when it comes to destination marketing.
And then regarding conversion, with leisure marketing, the goal is often simple. It's direct bookings. We're talking fast conversion. You run a campaign, you're tracking engagement, you're measuring ROI in real time. With meetings marketing, it's more about the lead generation, the relationship building, which we'll talk a lot about, and playing the long game. Could have a pipeline that could take years to bear fruit there. And even once a meeting is booked, the economic results aren't immediate or easy to trace.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of leading right into data and performance metrics. So this is a big one. It probably on its own needs more than 15 minutes. I could talk about this all day, but when we're talking about leisure travelers, we're often looking at marketing metrics first and foremost. We're talking about website engagement, we're talking about impressions, other ad metrics, and then social engagement, visitor engagement with all of everything that the DMO is putting out, as well as visitor spend and economic impact kind of on that broad scale. But with B2B, traditionally we're measuring sales KPIs. So we're looking at RFPs received, we're looking at definite business booked, planner engagement, whether qualitative or quantitative, depending on how you're measuring that. But then there's also, again, that big, economic impact, room nights generated, F&B spend, all of that. But B2B also needs to consider traditional marketing metrics like impressions, website engagements, ad click-throughs, all of that. And so I think that we really need to think about what is actually moving the needle for meeting planners and how are we adjusting the metrics that we report on to really tell that story of meetings marketing. It's broad and it's complicated, and I think that we can continue to really evolve the way we're talking about it. One of the ways we think about that is creating goals that sales and marketing teams are both responsible for to really help align all of our strategies to answering those questions. The other piece of this is that in B2B, we have a different challenge quantifying attribution, because you could be looking at, you meet a planner at a trade show, you have an ad campaign, they come for a site visit a year later, they sign a contract 2 years later, and 7 years later, they show up in destination with their group. And it's really difficult to track that ROI and attribution to a specific ad campaign. So I think we are looking at an evolution of meetings marketing metrics and how we're looking at that in our destinations.
And meetings marketing really means going where the planners are. So we're talking hyper-targeted channels, think LinkedIn, industry events, trade publications, indirect outreach that's really tightly aligned with the sales team. The goal isn't mass appeal here, it's precision. So we're gonna actually flip that on the leisure travel side. You're casting a wider net, you're building awareness, you're creating wanderlust, and this means consumer-facing channels like social media, we're talking digital ads, influencers, out-of-home like transit wraps and billboards.
Yeah, and Hilary is really setting these up perfectly for me, talking about a media strategy, considering all of those channels and that distribution. It's really a difference between kind of that broad demographic and interest targeting versus a lot of job title targeting, knowing where planners are online, in print. We're looking at a lot of probably niche trade publications. We love LinkedIn for planners, but if you've ever heard me speak before, you've probably heard me say this, planners are people too. They're on other channels, so really defining and pinpointing who they are and where we can reach them across the funnel, of course with that right message at the right time. This is also a reason we love account-based marketing for B2B. I think that that's a big opportunity to look at.
Yes, and the content strategy is also different. Meeting planners aren't dreaming, they're problem solving. So they have specific needs, they have tight timelines, they have checklists. Your content has to deliver solutions for them. So think logistics, ROI, industry relevance, and how the destination supports the attendee experience. On the other hand, destination leisure content will definitely lean more into discovery, with that emotion-driven storytelling, highlighting experiences where the visuals and tone really do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, and all of that really ties in, oh, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting to hit the button, to that attendee and visitor experience. So again, with B2B, we're selling infrastructure, we're selling space. Some will say it's a little dry, but we're solving problems for meeting planners and companies so that they can come in and feel confident that their attendees are gonna have a great experience. Whereas with leisure, we're really selling adventure, relaxation, local culture, the destination as a whole, our residents, just kind of everything that there is there. And the challenging part with this experience piece for meetings is also that planners are turning around and selling that leisure message. And so we need to be able to, in our meetings marketing strategies, really package that up nicely and understand what their attendees are looking for in that leisure travel, and ensure that that experience is translating correctly.
We experienced crisis management firsthand earlier this year during the tragic LA wildfires. A key learning from that is that empathy is essential in crisis, but how we communicate it will differ by the audience. So what I mean by that is on the leisure side, we took a very careful, sensitive approach. We paused our campaigns. We focused on community stories. We really leaned into the We Love LA mantra. However, on the meetings and events side, we had to act fast. We had a lot of misperceptions out there about the effect on the city. as well as operational readiness that could potentially risk millions of dollars in business. So by getting in front of that and working really early on with our industry partners, with meetings media, we were able to get the message out that LA is open for business. We answered questions, and we really pushed that message that the best way to support recovery in Los Angeles was to host your meeting and events here. And as a result, we retained all of our citywide business for the LA Convention Center, including some high-profile conferences like the Society for Thoracic Surgeons and America's Lodging Investment Summit that were just in the days immediately following.
Yeah. And to do that, it's really important to look at the organizational structure and organizational goals that are supporting both leisure and B2B marketing. On the leisure side, it's typically driven by destination marketing teams, by all of you, focused on that brand awareness, on that visitor engagement and visitation numbers. On the B2B side, we really need to be creating alignment between sales and marketing teams. What Hilary was talking about is a perfect example. You have to have the messaging and the understanding of those relationships to be able to effectively execute a meetings marketing strategy. And so I think looking at the broader organization and how it's structured to support alignment and de-siloing departments and priorities is really, really important here, and definitely worthy of some time and potentially hard conversations.
And then with bookings and contracts, group business comes with layers, as we all know. There are contracts, there are negotiations, room blocks, attrition, coordination across multiple venues and hotels. It's really a high-touch, detail-oriented process, and the destination plays an active and ongoing role. Leisure travel is mostly hands-off with booking. Visitors are booking direct through OTAs, through the hotel websites, with little need for destination involvement beyond that kind of information and inspiration phase. So booking process is faster and simpler and less nuanced for leisure.
Yeah, definitely. And then on thought leadership and destination branding, this really comes down to perception, right? On the leisure side, we're really focused on that overall brand, on emotive marketing, using a lot of user-generated content, sharing stories or images that other visitors have taken in our destination. Whereas on the B2B side, we really want to establish credibility, and we do that through white papers, through case studies, through testimonials, hosted partner events. It's really about leveraging the knowledge and the experience of those first-person contacts that meeting planners are coming into contact with, to make sure that they feel confident about what they're going to experience in the destination.
And we're going to sound like a broken record, but meetings marketing is highly dependent on relationships. So success really comes from that one-on-one engagement, from high-touch communication and the alignment between sales and marketing. And leisure marketing is more about scale and relevance, so how you inspire action across different demographics with compelling visuals, inclusive messaging, and mass appeal.
Yeah, and really leaning into that relationship role. The last one we have today is trade shows and events. So while in leisure marketing, we're really focused, we have less emphasis on that industry networking. We're not necessarily out there making contacts with our potential visitors. It's more focused on consumer events, consumer activations, and overall branding. With meetings, of course, there's a lot of heavy reliance on trade shows like IMEX, like Connect Marketplace, PCMA, ASAE, the list goes on, alphabet soup in this industry. But it's really important that our teams are out there networking and meeting potential clients, but also that the brand is being represented really well. And that's where, again, that sales and marketing alignment comes in. We don't want to drop that sense of placemaking about our destination brand just because it's a B2B trade show, but important for marketing teams to understand also what is it that's going to attract planners and move the needle at the trade shows.
Yeah, and for B2B, trade shows and industry events are really where relationships are built. The leads are qualified, destination credibility is reinforced face-to-face, and these are less about visibility really and more about the connections. So having our sales team have those real conversations that will move business forward.
Yeah. And that is, I mean, that's not it, but that's all we have today. So if anyone has any questions, we have like 5 seconds, but you can come find Hilary and I later, and we can talk about this all day. That's what we do. Thank you so much.